New G-Wagons are all like $200,000. These used ones though, they're getting pretty cheap for what they are. I'll include a link to the Mercedes here and Draper's website in the description down below. If you have any questions, just ask for Corey. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get right into it. Now this is a 2019 G550, so this is when it still had a V8, 4 liters in displacement, twin turbo. Puts out about 416 horsepower, 450 pound-feet of torque, goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. And because this is detuned and all that, it's supposed to be pretty darn reliable over the long run. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. Now the hood design with the turn signal indicators on the fenders is one of the most iconic looks in the car industry. Gotta love the circular headlights, and then I love the brush guard with the 550. The 63 having it over the bottom bumper looks pretty dorky. But whether you have a 550 or a 63, either way it's a G-Wagon, and so it looks cool. Tire wheel setup on this one is 275 by 50 by 20. You've got silver with metallic gray on the wheels. Fancy body painted fender flares. You've got the fixed side steps with this too. And again, talking about iconic, the side profile on the G-Wagon, literally a giant box, so cool looking. When it comes to the key fob, look at this, nice finish. Pretty simple feature-wise, lock and unlock, but yeah, cool finish on it. Being a boxy off-roader, we have a giant swing gate in the rear, nice sound with the opening. Lots of red in this particular one, you guys will see. See a little outlet here in the back, but yeah, plenty of storage space when it comes to the vertical space. Not super deep, but again, the vertical space is what gets this through the finish line. And gotta give you guys the sound here. Full-size spare on the back, and I do want to mention there was recovery points up front. There's also another recovery point out back too. That will cap things off for the exterior on this one, and it's blue, which is kind of an interesting color. Let's now check out the interior. There we go. Two-tone coloration on the door panel with this, and then you actually have heated seats for the rear passengers. Here's a quick look at those seats perforated down the center. Really nice trim in general. Now the G-Wagon doesn't have a crazy amount of space, but I do technically fit back here. Got vents in the back, got my own climate zone. Headroom is of course fantastic, again with the boxy design. Now let's pop up front. Quite a bit of luxury up front, power folding mirrors, heated and ventilated seats, tons of adjustments with the seats, memory seat functionality too. And again, more of that two-tone coloration on the door panel. Speaking of two-tone, look at these seats here, really nice. And the passenger seat has all the same features as the driver. And let's start her up. Nice trim all around the steering wheel, paddle shifters there on the back too. And of course you got practical controls for like the center screen here on one side. This is for the gauge cluster on the other side. Cruise controls built into that too, and column shifter. Yeah, digital gauge cluster here on the center. You can change the theme if you want. It'll also show you the drive modes depending on which mode you pop it into. Just a backup camera, unlike the newest one that has a 360 camera. Now the center screen is not a touchscreen at all. It's all controlled with little keypads, dials, and all that kind of stuff, so it is something to get used to. Cool grab handle there on the dash with more of that red stitching and soft touch. 3 diff locks. That's one of the things that is really cool about the G-Wagon, is that you have the center, front, and rear diff lock. Below that we've got analog controls for the climate, little clock too. And then a bunch of stuff here in the center, basically the control stack for the infotainment system, but you also have stuff like the drive mode, select your manual function if you can pop it into that. I will say this is out of other Mercedes, and so it's got kind of like a creaky feel to it. Good storage space in the center console, but that's one downside, is the parts that the G-Wagon shares with other Mercedes just aren't built as well as the G-Wagon parts. Regardless, fancy headliner, and then we do have a sunroof too, and yeah, that's all. Oh, let's take this out and see how it performs. G550. If you guys have followed the channel for any amount of time, you know that I'm a huge G-Wagon fan. I actually, excuse me, tried to order one of these back in like 23, if I remember right. It's been a while. It was I think it was 2023. My order got canceled. Mercedes said they didn't want to build my car. I don't know why, but I wanted to get the off-road version, the G550 with the, what is it called? I can't remember the name of the package now. Anyways, there's an off-road version with like a roof rack and a ladder in the back and off-road tires and everything, and yeah, so that never happened, and I'm actually kind of glad it didn't happen, because instead I ended up getting a Land Cruiser for less than half the price, and I still have that Land Cruiser and I love it. And I do want to talk about the Land Cruiser and also the Grenadier. There's 2 vehicles that I've owned since that whole thing happened that are very similar to the G-Wagon. Now the G-Wagon itself, for what it is, it drives exceptionally well. This is a vehicle with solid axles, or sorry, solid axle in the rear, independent front suspension. Used to have solid axles front and rear, but they got rid of the solid front axle for this newest generation. And so, you know, it still has the dippy side to side heavy body on frame. Again, still has a solid axle in the back, so it still kind of bumps back and forth. But this is a lot easier to drive than the old one, and it doesn't wander like the old one did when you're going down the street. So it's a lot less Wrangler like. And you can tell that, well, yeah, they're making the G-Wagon less G and more S-Class as time goes on, because of the people that buy G-Wagons. They don't take them off-road. They don't care about they like the fact that it looks like a tank, but they don't really care about that stuff. They just want the looks. But they want luxury that comes with those looks. Ooh, that is a cool Land Cruiser. A lot of clean Land Cruisers here in Utah, that's for sure. But one thing that's cool about this first G550 with the new body is the V8. So much better than the inline 6. The inline 6 is just incredibly disappointing. I still, like, I understand why Mercedes did it for emissions and stuff, but like, it's such a stupid powertrain in a G-Wagon. It's great in other Mercedes, but in the G-Wagon, no. Mercedes needs to bring the V8 back to the 550. Now 550s are still selling out, so they won't, but I think it would be the right move to do, because the V8 G-Wagon without a V8, that just doesn't work. That's like McDonald's without chicken nuggets. It's not McDonald's anymore. Or McDonald's without French fries. Like, what are they doing? You know what I mean? So anyways, this does drive incredibly well. That being said, I still have a Land Cruiser, and I lived with the Ineos Grenadier for a year. My personal take is both of those vehicles show how overpriced the G-Wagon is. With the G-Wagon, you are 100% paying like $100,000 for the badge. Seriously, I know people will disagree with me, like, oh, Mercedes-Benz engineering. I love the G-Wagon. I think it's a cool vehicle. Like, it's such a cool looking vehicle. It's incredibly capable. It's got so much going for it. But you're paying a ton of money because it's a G-Wagon. You're not paying a ton of money because it's engineered better than other off-roaders or this or that. This is a pretty simplistic vehicle, and the Grenadier proves that, because the Grenadier is literally also made by Magna Steyr that makes the G-Wagon, right? And it starts at like $70,000. So it just shows you the tech in this is not crazy at all. You're paying a ton of money. We'll actually go this way. You're paying a ton of money for the Mercedes badge. And the Land Cruiser proves it on the luxury side, because the Land Cruiser offers tons of off-road capability like a G-Wagon, and it offers very similar luxury at a much lower price point. We don't get a 300 series in the US, but we do get the LX 700H Overtrail, which is a Land Cruiser, and that's still only $116,000 compared to the G-Wagon's starting price of $150,000. So I'm a huge G-Wagon fan. I'll just probably never own one, sadly, as much as I'd love to own one, because there's just, in my opinion, there's better options out there when it comes to off-road vehicles. Again, the reason why you buy a G-Wagon is because you want to be the person that owns a G-Wagon. But if you're looking at things objectively from like a value perspective, the Grenadier is better for straight off-roading, and then the Land Cruiser is better if you're doing luxury driving and you want a tank-like vehicle. But the sad thing is the Land Cruiser doesn't have the looks, and the Grenadier doesn't have the luxury, so the G-Wagon combines both that, and that's why Mercedes will still hold a monopoly. But if someone releases a boxy luxury off-roader that's built tough like a G-Wagon and just charges a reasonable price point for it, yeah, that'd be game over. But let me guys think about the G-Wagon in general. And then these used ones are, you know, I think they're somewhat tempting, because the new ones, again, are $200,000. Yeah, no way. But this is like $100,000. Still a ton of money, but getting a V8 vehicle built this well for $100K, that's, I don't know, that's starting to seem a lot more appealing. But at the same time, I like, as a Land Cruiser owner, I'm like, yeah, I'd probably just buy another 200 series, because I love that car so much. Even though it doesn't have the diff, it only has a center diff lock. Yeah, I love the G-Wagon. I just think that it's become it's like those luxury handbags. You pay so much for the brand rather than the product itself.